Hello and welcome back to Playing Quietly. My name is Ryan and today I am bringing you another Darktide build guide. Today we'll be going over the Zealot Preacher Ctit Bleed build. This is a really fun, fast-paced, flashy build. We're going to talk about the feats that we're going to use, the weapons and curios you're going to need, and the playstyle. And also some of the pitfalls that you're going to want to avoid while playing this build. Let's take a look at what feats we're going to use. Some of these are going to be absolutely mandatory, but some others are going to be left to your personal choice. For our level 5 feat, I like to go with Faith Restored. This is going to grant us plus 75 toughness damage reduction on critical hits, and since we're going to be critting all the time, we're basically going to have this up almost 100% of the time. For our level 10 feat, we must go with Bloodletting. Bloodletting is going to give us 10% melee crit chance for 3 seconds on melee hits against bleeding enemies, and melee crits apply bleed. This is an absolute must for this build. It is basically the linchpin of the build. Our level 15 feat is going to be more of a personal choice. However, I go with Benediction. It is going to give us 15% toughness damage reduction to allies and coherence. For our level 20 feat, I've seen a lot of debate on this, whether or not it's better to go with Holy Revenant or Thy Wrath Be Swift. Personally, I go with Wrath. It is going to give us the ability to no longer take stagger damage from melee attacks, and this is going to be hugely helpful to us since we are going to be in the thick of melee for most of the fight. For our level 25 feat, we're going to be going with Rising Conviction. This is going to give us a stacking buff that gives us 4% attack damage for 5 seconds for 5 stacks. This is going to be hugely beneficial to us since we are basically a melee class. For our level 30 feat, I recommend going with Purge the Wicked. This is going to give us 2 charges of Chastise the Wicked rather than just the 1. I find that it's really helpful to have that second charge in your back pocket just in case things get a little bit sketchy. Some people recommend going with Invocation of Death, being is that we are a crit build and critical hits are going to reduce the cooldown of Chastise by 1.5 seconds. However, like I said, I just feel it is a little bit safer to have that extra charge in your back pocket. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the weapons and gear that we're going to be using. My recommendation for this build is going with the Mark III Combat Blade, and we're going to be looking for the Lacerate Blessing. That's going to give us bleed stacks on non-weak spots. This is pretty critical to the build, and it works really, really well. We're going to be running in and just slicing and dicing. It looks really cool, and it's super fun to play. For our secondary weapon, I recommend going with the Flamer. It is going to be kind of a counterbalance to our primary weapon, which is mostly used for single target. This is going to give us huge amounts of crowd control, which is going to be really, really helpful to the group. For our curios, we're going to want to stack toughness, as much toughness as you can. So for our primary blessing, we're going to go look for the toughness, and for the perks, I would again look for something with toughness on it. As you can see here, I have 2 curios that have plus 16 toughness, and for the final curio, I recommend going with at least 1 wound. And again, if you can find something with toughness on it, even better. Now, let's get into how the build plays. This is a build that has a heavy focus on crits and damage over time, aka dots. This is usually the type of build that I gravitate towards in pretty much any game that I play, so I find this build to be a lot of fun. For this build, we're going to be zipping around the map, slicing and dicing as we go. We're going to want to be hunting down the big enemies, marking them if no one else has done so, and applying bleeds and getting crits. When we encounter big enemies and hordes, we're going to want to be dodging constantly. This is going to help us stay alive by avoiding damage altogether. Our role in the group is going to be dealing damage hard and fast. We can take out big enemies quite fast with our knife, and we're going to be suppressing hordes with our flamethrower. There are definitely going to be some pitfalls that we want to avoid using this build. As I said before, this build plays very fast. We're going to be running all over the place, zipping around with Chastise the Wicked, so it can be easy to get separated from the group. And if we get down by one of the annoying trappers or one of the dogs pouncing on us, there's not going to be a whole lot we can do, and it's going to be a real bad time. One of the other big pitfalls that we run into with this build is actually the clicking. This build is extremely click heavy. We're going to be absolutely spamming the heck out of the left click, and our index finger is going to be taking some punishment. I've seen people talk about actually making auto clickers to use this build, since we're really not going to be using the charge attack all that often. But even so, it might be worth taking a break from the build from time to time. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or you found it helpful, please like and comment. Those are the best ways to show your support right now. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you again, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.